What's up, Internet?
Degenerate into something fool. We just got tired of doing what you told us to do. That's a brace, boy. Yeah.
What is up, Internet? We had some technical difficulties, but I'm here with my friend Tyler Perea, former cop, current dad of the year, jailbird. Tyler, how you been, man?
Man, I've been better. I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. Did you have a good Thanksgiving, Sam? Good. Yeah, dad of the year. What happened last Sunday, I missed my son's baptism because I got picked up for a domestic violence warrant that happened 5 years ago. And I was speeding. I was on 411 and I got pulled over for speeding, which I was. I got a ticket for it, going 70 and 55. And the trooper, it was Jeff Harp that pulled me over. And he's a really great guy. I love Jeff to death. And he ran my name and he said, "Tyler, you got a warrant coming out of DeKalb County." I was like, bullshit. I was like, I ain't done nothing this time. And he said, "Man, it was issued November 13th for domestic violence. Second." I was like, what is this? What's going on? And he was like, "I don't know, but you're going to have to come with me." I was like, "Man, I ain't going to give you no problems. Everything's going to be fine." He said, "Tyler, I don't want to tow your vehicle. So if you can just pull it over to Dollar General and park it there. And, you can bond out and all that stuff. It says that you got a bond." I was like, okay. I was like, all right, I'll do that. Thank you. And that was a really nice thing that he did. He, and I'm glad that he's the one who served the warrant. So this happened in Cherokee County. And he had to take me to Little River Canyon to meet the transport deputies for the sheriff's office. And the transport deputies, they was really, really nice gentlemen. I know Lieutenant Fortner was the deputy that transported me. Very nice gentleman. Just a pleasure. I wish I would have met him under different circumstances. I go to the jail, and at the jail, I say, "Can I see the warrant?" They said, "Yeah." And it was a grand jury indictment that happened in 2019 for domestic violence, criminal mischief second. And I did. The only victim was property. It was, I did everything I was supposed to and everything like that.
Now, are you going to tell that story?
Yeah, I'm going to tell that story. I'm going to tell that story in a minute. That technical difficulties. Man, yeah.
That's wild. I know.
Yeah.
My apologies.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I was going
ham. I don't know what happened. We think. I don't know. I'm not.
Yeah. It was weird and it's wild. Yeah. So, yeah. So, anyways, there's a $15,000 bond, and it was a property bond, which means I had to pay 10% of that, which is $1,500, which my family did. I'm blessed to have a family that I have, and I love my family to death. I'm blessed to have them. They ended up going to Leo's baptism, and I posted on Facebook while in the back of the car. I was like, "They falsely accused me. I'm been done wrong." No, I did do it, but like 5 years ago, but I also took care of everything that I was supposed to take care of. I was court ordered to a mental hospital. And like I said, I'll get into all of that here in a minute. And, I stayed in jail for like 93 minutes, something like that. My family comes, bonds me out after they watch Leo get baptized. Yeah, I know. That's like, we're going to watch and we'll take videos for you. Yeah. But Leo even said on my post, he's like, "Free my boy, free my boy." I'm blessed to have him as a son. He's a good boy. So I get bonded out. Everything went good. And my sister and brother-in-law and Holly all came, and they was waiting for me. And they was like, "So what happened?" I was like, "It's a grand jury indictment from that incident back in 2019. And my brother-in-law was like, "Yep, I called it. This is a witch hunt because you're speaking out about this shooting that happened in Fort Payne in October." I was like, "Well, I don't know for a fact, but if that is true, if somebody is doing that to try to shut me up and to intimidate me," I asked them, I said, "Do you think it's going to work?" And they all said in unison, "Nope. Nope, it's not going to work at all. Now I had people reaching out to me. I had I'm not going to name the department or who it is or anything like that, but I can tell you that he's got well over 15 years of experience, and he's an intelligent person, and he knows the ins and outs of the system. He said, Tyler, it looks like clearly you pissed somebody off. I said, clearly it does. It looks like that. And he said, because I've seen many a times where grand jury indictments gets thrown out from 3 years ago to older. They'll throw it out. And my mother and everything's dropped now. That's why I don't care to talk about it. Everything is dropped, taken care of. My mother, she calls Ronnie Osborne. Ronnie's a good judge. He's a long-serving judge. He's our probate judge. He's done a lot of good things. But she asked me, she's like, so why did this happen? Because, he took care of everything he was supposed to take care of, and he's doing a lot better, and he's a completely different person now. He was like, well, this type of stuff, it happens all the time. He probably missed a court date. Well, I never got a court date because I did everything that I was supposed to do. I never received a court date at all to show up to anything because I was court ordered to the mental hospital and court ordered out. That's how it was. And I'll tell that story in a minute. But he said it happens all the time. It shouldn't happen all the time. It shouldn't happen all the time. And I needed to go through this. Because to see there's a lot of people that has to go through the exact same thing that I went through. Okay. And I'm not looking for sympathy. In fact, my favorite movie quote of all time is from Major Payne. And he's telling the kids, if you're looking for sympathy, look in the dictionary and find it in between shit and syphilis. All right. That is a wise saying. I'm not. I've made mistakes that I'm shameful for. I'm ashamed of. And I wish I could take things back, but that just ain't how the past works. But that's where stories come from, is the past. Now, this county, there's a lot of good officers around here. There's a lot of good men and women in law enforcement, from dispatchers to corrections officers to road officers. There's a lot of good, but there's also been this mentality that has been plaguing this county for a long time. Like, hero
worship.
Well, yeah, that. But have you ever heard of a POP charge?
No.
Pissing off the police charge. Now, that is true. Now, some people, they do deserve to get their ass beat. Yeah. They do, but I've needed my ass beat, and I'll tell about all of that here in a minute. But also they take advantage of the poor. Yeah. The poor is getting oppressed because the fines do not. It's not the same thing as if somebody who comes from money gets a ticket as somebody who don't.
Everything's legal for a price.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Have you ever heard of JCS?
And most people here ain't got no money.
Yeah, well, have you ever heard of JCS?
No, sir.
As a Judicial Correctional Service, I believe that's the name for it. It's a privately owned company that came to this county, I think around in 2005, 2006, and it ended in 2015. Now, what JCS is that when people got in trouble or got a ticket or whatever, and they couldn't afford to pay their fine right then and there at court, the court would set them up with payments to JCS. Okay. What JCS would do, they would jack up the interest sky high to where the people who was paying on their fines would never pay off their fines, but just pad in the pockets of JCS. Yeah. That was true. And people would be going to jail for failure to pay all the time because they couldn't pay on their fines because all they was doing was paying JCS. Well, I think the ACLU got involved because they was making a complaint that they was extorting the poor, and they was accusing them of racketeering, which they actually was racketeering money. That's what they was doing. Nobody got arrested or anything like that. They just, hey, we don't want you here anymore. You can leave. Wow. Yeah, it happened about 10 years now. Color code is about like that now. Do you know where the money goes to
No.
from all the money?
No.
I don't either.
Now, someone said the other day that they get a kickback. Someone said the other day the local law enforcement gets a kickback. Now, I don't know how true that is. I just don't know. But that's what I've heard. I've heard there's some kickback, and that's why they send so many people through there. Now, when I was at the jail working, we would take people into this room because we would do court at the on a computer. And this guy that works for Color Code would say, well, hey, man, what's your drug of choice? And the people would go, well, I don't have a drug of choice. And he'd go, well, I can't help you then, man. We'll see you in 6 months. And they'd go, well, wait, what are you talking about? And he'd go, well, I'm only here to help people that got a problem with drugs or alcohol. And they go, well, I guess I got a problem. I like liquor or I like marijuana. And he'd go, well, we'll get you on Color Code tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow. You'll bond out in the morning. That's wild to me, man.
I am paying a monthly fine and all that stuff.
Making that money.
Well, I'm making multi-million-dollars a year. But I think that some people, I think some of that money that they generate should go to organizations like the His Place or the Summit or an organization that is actually trying to help people get better, to help people recover. Now, to change, nobody's going to change for you. You have to pull your head out of your own ass and realize that, hey, man, I messed up. And that's the only way where change starts. And it's a gradual process. Sometimes you think that you're having a bad day or whatever. All you got to do is just keep going. You know, it's easier said than done sometimes, but when you can start accepting things that's how everything was, then, you can start moving forward. So what happened with the domestic violence? This happened 2019. This was maybe a couple months after the Chattanooga incident, and I'll talk about that here in a minute. But and I wasn't doing good mentally for a while. 2017 to 2019 was really bad years for me. Dark times, man. And I've been needing help, but my problem is that I've never been able to relax. I've never known how to relax. I've never known how to chill out or anything like that. So I got off work one day at Valley Joist, and my brother comes in, and I just take off one boot. Well, me and Caleb, I love my brother to death. He's doing great. He's doing great in life. He's a great dad, good family man. I love you, Caleb, if you're listening to this. But we end up start arguing. And then I'm in the process of taking my boots off. He's like, you want to go? I was like, what are you talking about? Yeah. All right. And then I'm taking my boot off. Well, he tackles me through my damn TV. He tackles me through my 55-inch big screen TV. And then, because Caleb's a stud, man.
For people that don't know, if Caleb walked up around you, your wife, your girlfriend with his shirt off, and he's almost always got his shirt off, you're like, hey, man, can you please get out?
Yeah, no, Caleb's a stud, man.
Caleb's jacked. He's a stud. He trains all the time. He's
a
terrifying person.
Oh, yeah, man. And he's tough. He's tough as hell. So anyways, tackles me through the TV. I was like, you dumbass. Stop. And then did he stop? No. And then so we're exchanging. He's exchanging. I'm just like trying to defend myself. And then he ends up getting me in a damn chokehold, and he sunk this shit in. I got that damn Chuck Mitchell and all that stuff. And he sunk it in, and I couldn't breathe at all. My mama comes in there. This was all at my mother's house. I'm 35 years old, living with my mother in America. That's pretty. Yeah. So anyways, my mama comes in there, gets Caleb off of me. Well, she calls the police because it was getting that bad. Well, the cops come up, and I tell Caleb, I said, hey, man, look, I love you. I was like, it's all over and done with. Let's just don't even say nothing to the cops and just go on. He's like, all right, yeah, all right. Well, the cops come, separate us, put us both in handcuffs, detaining us. And first cops come up to me and ask, Tyler, what happened here? I'm like, I ain't telling you shit. And he looks at me, he's like, Tyler, you ain't gonna act like that. I said, yeah, you're right, but I still ain't telling you nothing. And then they asked Caleb, what happened? He attacked me. He started it. He did everything. I was like, you little piece of shit. I was like, even after I've supported him and doing all kinds of stuff, even after I've supported him when he got sexually molested by 3 Fort Payne police officers. Now,
one was my cousin.
Well, I wasn't going to say any names or anything because hopefully they've gotten out of gotten out of the phase of molesting kids for marijuana. Now they end up taking him to jail for an empty pot pipe, but they did molest him because they get him out, they smell marijuana and stuff like that, and they start just jerking on him or whatever. And Caleb was like, "Why are you trying to touch my dick?" Was Caleb talking shit to him? Absolutely was, as one should when you are getting sexually molested by the cops for marijuana, as one should. Now, if you want to touch little boys' dicks, you don't need to be
wait.
What?
Language.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
You don't need to be a cop. You need to be a Catholic priest.
Yo.
Okay? That's what you need to do. Now, I hope they've changed out of that mentality of trying to, grab on people for marijuana. I think marijuana needs to be legalized recreationally because people are lacing marijuana with fentanyl. Yeah. Fentanyl's killing a whole lot of people.
Because you can't just go buy it at a store.
No, you can't. You can't. It needs to be regulated. So, anyways, after this infuriated me.
Now, how old was Caleb at the time?
Oh, he was young. He was maybe 19, 20. He was young. This happened, 18, 19, 20, something like that. Real young. But anyways, I end up getting angry because he did that. And so it was at that time it was real easy to everybody believe, Tyler, you are crazy and stuff. So everybody, it was easy to do. And so the cops told me, Tyler, just get your stuff and leave. And I was like, all right, I'll get my stuff and leave. And my mother and Caleb was like, yeah, Tyler, get your stuff and leave. I was like, okay, all right, I'll leave. So everybody left the house and just left me alone with my thoughts there. And I destroyed all of Caleb's shit. I mean, I kicked in his door. I ripped up his blue jeans with my damn knife and everything. I kicked in his TV. Oh, I did. Now I did all of this. Okay. But it's at my mother's house. And I knew right then, I was like, well, I'm going to go to jail. And so what I did was later on, I left. I got my stuff and I left. And I ended up just going out and getting drunk, like really drunk. And the cops has been looking for me for a while, and they ended up going over to Leo's apartment at the Davis Loft apartment. So I was at the Vintage because I had my truck parked over there. And they break in. They're like, where's Tyler? And all that. They was like, we don't know. He ain't been here. And he ain't been here at all. And so I get a phone call. And this was at night. And it's from a number that is local. And I knew this was a cop that's calling me. Yeah. And I answered the phone. I said, hello. And it was Matt Wilson. Matt Wilson's a fine man. Love Matt. He said, hey, Tyler, you're going to have to come with us. I was like, well, I figured that, Matt. I was like, how are you doing, Matt? And he was like, man, I'm doing a lot better than you right now, Tyler. And I was like, yeah, I figured that. I was like, check this out. I was like, I had a buddy come pick me up, and I am way away from here. But now I'm watching all of them on the porch. I'm watching all of them talking to Matt. And I was like, I'm way away from here. And I was like, what time do you get off in the morning, Matt? He said, I get off at 6 a.m. I was like, I'll be there at 5 and turn myself into you. He said, do I have your word? I said, Matt, that's the only thing I have left. It's my word. And he was like, all right. So I went to a cemetery and I passed out. And at 4:30, I woke up at 4:30 and I went down to Fort Payne Police Department and turned myself in to Matt. I go to the dispatchers, the ladies I was working in dispatch. I was like, hey, I'm Tyler Perea. I'm here to turn myself in. They was like, oh, you really are here? I was like, yeah. They was like, well, yeah, just go around and I'll tell Matt that you're here. I was like, thank you. I go in and I am met by every Fort Payne.
Pause.
What?
Did it again.
Did it?
Yeah. Hang on. We'll sit there a minute. I don't know what it's doing, but stay where you at.
Damn.
I don't know why it's doing it, but it is. Something keeps killing them. Ain't no telling what it is. We are having some technical difficulties.
Are we still live?
Yeah, we're live. I just need 2 seconds. I figured out what to do with it last time. Something's pulling them.
Really?
Yeah. So you're surrounded by the deputies?
Well, yeah, I'm surrounded by Fort Payne cops, and it's like they thought that I was gonna just, attack them or something. I don't know. And and I tell them, I'm like, hey guys, I was at the Vintage the whole time. And they started busting out laughing. And I was like, it wouldn't be that funny if I was a mass murderer. you know what I mean? And so Matt hands me a court order. He's like, look, Tyler, your family wants you to get help. And you clearly need some help. I was like, yeah, I do, Matt. I was like, I went about it a little wrong, I guess. And he said, here's an order from Ronnie Osborne, committing you to a mental hospital. And you do need to go. I was like, yeah, I do, man. I need some help. He was like, and Matt was just such a good person. Anybody on here that knows who Matt Wilson is, he's no longer at Fort Payne. He's a state trooper now. Matt could be a police chief or a sheriff or something like that one day. Amazing person. So anyways, he said, look, man, you go do this and everything's taken care of. Everything's dropped. I was like, well, I have no choice then, I guess. He's like, no, you don't. I was like, yeah, you're right. So he said, I'm gonna get one of my officers to take you to the county to get transported to your hospital. Now the hospital that you're going to is it's in Coleman, Alabama. It's something Sanctuary at the Woodlands. Yeah. No, it's actually a great place, but and the officer that he had, I think his name was Steve Whaley. He was a good guy too. Really. See, I'm not trying to talk about the whole of Fort Payne Police Department. And, I know it looks like I am, but no, Steve Whaley was a very empathetic human being. He took me to the county and where I was assigned to a transport officer, and he was really, really compassionate person too. And he let me right up front, and we just had a really good talk all the way from the county to Coleman, and talking about, how it does happen, how your body can be physically sick, just like your mind can be just like your mind can be sick, So I go to the mental hospital, I check in and everything like that. And it wasn't that bad of a place. You know what I did there? I colored with crayons. Yeah, I did that a lot. And then they teach you about meditation. They say, Tyler, you need to learn how to relax. I was like, well, I don't know how to relax. And they said, that's why you got to learn how to relax. You got to learn how to chill out and everything. And every day you would talk to this team of medical professionals. I had a psychiatrist, a doctor, 2 nurse practitioners. Every single day you would talk to them for maybe about 30 minutes. And I stayed in there for 8 days. And the day before I got out, they said, Tyler, we have a diagnosis for you. I was like, okay, what is it? She said, you have bipolar, and there's bipolar 1 and 2, and you have 1. I said, which one's worse? She looked at me like I was stupid. She said, it's 1. 1 is always the worst. Duh. I was like, okay. I was like, so how did y'all come to this conclusion? And she said, Tyler, we talked to you. We talked to you. I was like, oh, okay. She said, yeah. And we got some medication for you to take, and you don't need to be taking the Paxil anymore. I was like, all right. And so what they did give me was I was like, so I got to take this daily for the rest of my life. She said, yeah, you do. Or you can, not. That's your choice. I was like, okay, cool. So I tried it, and all it did was just make me go to sleep. Zombie. So, how can you have any episodes if you're asleep? You can't.
Wheel.
Yeah. Zombie.
They gave you medicine for Michael Myers.
Yeah. So what I did learn in there is how to control my mind and start to learn how to think about things different. But that's when I was like, I need to pull my head out my ass. I got kids. It's time for me to grow up, to man up, and to face responsibility for everything that I've done. And when I got out, I decided I wasn't going to take the medicine, but I told my mom and everything like that. Now, when I got out, I had nobody around me. as I should have. I pushed everybody away from me. My family, you know, they didn't have nothing to do with me, as they should. But sometimes God puts you in these moments of isolation so you can get close to him, so you can start learning how to walk with him. And that's when I started writing. And I ended up filling up like 6 or 7 notebooks full of stuff. And I didn't even know where it was going to lead me to at all. And then I started getting better because I started meditating. I started learning how to empty my mind, and I prayed. I started praying every day and reading the Bible and just reading and learning how to just not say how I feel every time.
Yeah.
And learn how to shut up sometimes. But sometimes, you know, sometimes you don't need to shut up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sometimes you got things to say. Well, you need to say them. Some people says, Tyler, well, you need to learn how to let things go. I was like, well, I am letting things go right into a microphone. And that's. So anyways, I started making a lot of progress. After this, my friends and family were like, damn, Tyler, you're a completely different person now. That medicine's working. I was like, yeah. They was like, did you take it this morning? I was like, yeah, I smoked it this morning. Yeah, I did. And I still got a long ways to go. I'm not perfect, and I will never be perfect. But this all happened 5 years ago, and I had to get court ordered out of this mental hospital, and everything was taken care of. Well, we talked about the shooting, right? No, we ain't talked about the shooting.
No.
In October.
No. You haven't mentioned it. No.
Okay.
You mentioned it. You haven't told the story yet.
All right. So anyways, back in October, I think it was around October 16th. I'm sitting in the living room. Leo is playing with the neighborhood kids, just right down the street. Well, I'm watching TV, something stupid, and I hear gunshots. Pow, 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 pow. And it ain't fireworks. I know it ain't fireworks. I know what gunshots is. And I got up and I ran to where Leo was at to get him, because that's where it was coming from. It's right over there where Leo was at. And when I get over to the neighbor's house, the neighbor, he had his AR out and he's in the yard, and the kids is inside their house on the floor. I was like, what the hell happened? And they said there was a shooting just happened right over there. And I was like, that was a drive-by shooting, wasn't it? They was like, yeah, it shot into a house and a car. And the cops was there for hours, all through the night. And I thought that they was going to let the public know about this shooting, because I think that when something like that happens, I think the public needs to be made aware of it so people can start paying attention and being aware of their surroundings. You know what I mean? Because we just had a shooting not far from there a month prior to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the middle of the road.
Yeah, in the middle of the road. I would rather have a drug problem than a murder problem. And but I didn't see nothing get put out about it for a couple days. I gave it a couple days, whatever. I was like, okay, they're investigating and everything like that. But I was angry because my son could have got shot.
Yeah.
And so could some neighborhood kid got shot, you know, because some punk ass dude shooting up the neighborhood. So I reach out to them and I was like, hey, y'all got any word on the shooting? And they left me on red. They left me on red and ignored me. And then that's when I just, you know, it was a little condescending what I sent them, but it wasn't bad. You know, I was just asking them, hey, you know, makes me pretty insecure when you leave me on red and everything like that. And so after I sent them a big long book, they finally respond. They say, we're investigating it. No new updates. Like, okay. So nothing. What set me off again is when they do their little data sheet on Facebook. Their
Press
reports.
release.
Huh?
Press release.
Yeah, press release, weekly press release.
Yeah.
And they put it as criminal mischief happened at such and such address. I was like, no, what's going on here? This is shady. Now, listen, if this is a big investigation that's going to lead to something bigger or whatever, I don't give a shit. I don't care. If there's a shooting in the neighborhood, people in the neighborhood needs to know about it. And so they can start being aware of what's going on. I don't care about your investigation. I don't give a shit at all. You need to let the public know something. And so I came with that type of, it wasn't hostile. I wasn't being hostile, and I don't wish no ill will on any of them at all. But that was kind of shady. And I even had, I was at Westmoreland Tire, and I had Jim Phillips. He was there. He's task force commander. Now, Jim was trying to mess with me and shit at first, but we ended up having a good conversation when egos died down. And he said, Tyler, I seen what you put on Facebook. And yeah, it's stalking me. Okay, cool. He said, yeah. He's like, we don't know why they didn't put it out either. We have our theories and everything, but we don't know because it's clearly a shooting because we heard it go out on the radio, on the scanner. I was like, I don't either, Jim. I think the public needs to be aware of what's going on in their community and their town and not be trying to cover it up. This bullshit. He's like, it is. And so anyways, we ended up talking about drugs. And I was like, how's the fentanyl problem? Fentanyl's pretty bad, ain't it? He was like, man, it's horrible. It's horrible. He was like, people's pressing it. I even have old school meth cooks telling me that he's like, look, man, over here's got fentanyl. I was like, I don't want no money, don't want nothing or anything like that. But it's killing a lot of people and they're putting it in whatever. I was like, yeah, them people needs to get out. I mean, you need to get them off the streets. Absolutely. He said, well, we're just fighting this war on drugs. And I said, it's a never ending war of drugs. I mean, it's never going to go anywhere. And we ended up talking more about it. And I was like, I've had a lot of people die from fentanyl. I've known a lot of people die from it and everything like that. And then Eric Tidmore, he was with them. And now this time I've had 2 encounters with Eric since I've been out of Rainsville. And the first one was weird, but the second one, it was a lot cooler. He was fine at this time. And I told him, I was like, yeah, that's how Casey died, wasn't it? From fentanyl. He's like, yep, that's how Casey died. Jim didn't know who I was talking about, but he was talking about Casey Jones. Casey died from a fentanyl overdose.
While he was a cop or after?
No, after. Okay. After. And I've had childhood buddies die from fentanyl. I've never taken fentanyl, but I was an opiate addict. Absolutely, I was. But I think that it's real suspicious that grand jury indictment got taken out November 13th of this month, and all this happened in October.
Yeah, like last month.
Yeah, because how the grand jury works is it usually consists of 18 jurors, and all you hear is the ADA. They'll have their proof or whatever on paper usually, and then you got the investigative officer testifying to the grand jury. The defendant don't have no piece. You only hear one side. Grand jury does not prove innocence nor guilt. They prove if probable cause exists, if a crime has been committed. And so they can either true bill it, which is indictment, or no bill it, which is no indictment. And they true billed what I've already taken care of. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then I had that the guy that messaged me said that I've seen him throw out grand jury indictments at 3 years old or older all the time. He said, clearly you pissed somebody off. I was like, I don't know that for a fact. I don't. And I hope that's not true. But the DA said that they have a bad backlog of cases. And now they do have a gigantic backlog of cases because they make a lot of cases around here. A lot of cases around here. And they usually like to do the plea deals. And like, for example, when Caleb got charged with possession of marijuana and drug paraphernalia when there was no marijuana, well, they was taught, and I got taught the same thing, that you put 2 charges, even if it's just one drug paraphernalia, and the charge to give the DA some play to let them be like, hey, look, we'll drop the marijuana charge. You play to the paraphernalia and you do color code so they can have they can keep their conviction rate. And usually if you pay a defense attorney, they'll get you the exact same deal that you can get yourself by talking to the prosecutor.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that at all.
Well, they appoint the lawyer too.
Well, they do.
Sometimes
They do. But sometimes you need to be caught. Sometimes you need to face the consequences, because I know that hard drugs, and my thing was opiates, it leads to hard lessons. And I think that demon possession is a lot more common than what you think. And it's not even demon possession. It's something that is taking over your entire body, because you're letting it, and you'd do anything for that. You would pick that over your kids. You'd pick that over anything just to get high. Well, I mean, that sounds like a demon to me.
It does.
You know, it sounds like a demon to me. But there's a lot of good people inside and out, both sides of the bar. Now the Chattanooga story, you want me to tell that?
Yeah, it's funny. Well, now time out though. Do you think how positive are y'all that the it can't just be a coincidence that a month after you said something?
Yeah. I don't know anything right now. I would like to talk to a First Amendment lawyer, just to see what's going on or whatever. Now, if it is the backlog, if it is proven that, the grand jury indictment was taken way before that and they just like got around to it, but still somebody had to be like, hey, push this through, shut him up, push this through.
Well, that's like as far as he said, these things happen all the time, That's like when that guy's house, they went and swatted that guy's house over here in DeKalb County, and they said, well, this happens all the time. You took 10 AR-15s over to a guy's house. We can't just say that happens all the time.
The wrong address.
Yeah, to the wrong address. What if something bad had happened? And then another thing was, like you said, they said, well, these things happen all the time. Well, like when we called about, Nick Jones getting arrested for his DUI and stuff, and that never getting put on the internet for people to see like it is for everyone else in the area. They said, well, first we was told they was under special orders not to share stuff, but then we were told, oh, there's a glitch in the system. There was just a glitch. Seems like a whole lot of convenient glitches to me, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But the Chattanooga story, now this is where everything started to erupt for me mentally. It was a couple months before that, or a month or two before me and Caleb got into it. I get divorced the day before I go up there. And so I wasn't, and as I should, Holly should have left me a long time ago, and Holly's a damn good woman. Same. She is. She's a blessing to even know. She leaves me the day before, and my buddies, they knew I was feeling blue because I just lost everything. Okay. They was like, Tyler, we know what can help you out. I was like, what is it? He said, you want to take some psychedelic mushrooms, go up to Chattanooga? I was like, yeah. I was like, I ain't took them in years. What's the worst that could happen? Well, the worst did happen. Oh, yeah. Absolutely, it did. I go up there, and we get a hold of them. Well, these mushrooms get a hold of me. And what I experienced next was kind of like, how I can explain it is like a King Kong rampage through Chattanooga. But like everything that I've felt my entire life came all the way out, bubbling up. All the pain and anger that I had held deep down inside me, all just came up. And now I was in control because I knew what was going on, but I was out of control too by just acting crazy. But I also knew that I wasn't going to hurt nobody, but nobody knew that. Nobody knew that at all. And so I don't know why my shirt was off and why I ain't got no shoes on, but I'm running down the street in Chattanooga with just cargo shorts on, and just it was wild, man. It was wild. Dots was getting connected. I can't explain it. Well, I come up to this intersection. It was around the Chattanooga Choo Choo, and there's a bunch of people around at this time. Well, also cops. they just damn blocked me in. And I it just infuriated me because at this point in my life, I hated all cops.
Yeah.
I hated all cops. I had a bad taste in my mouth, and that what had happened. And when I seen the blue lights, it just triggered something deep down inside of me that I can't explain. And I seen a little officer come up to me, and he's got his taser and he's shaking. He's like, get on the ground, get on the ground. I was like, don't you tase me. Don't you tase me. Well, he tased me. He tased me, and so did his buddy and his other buddy and all of theirs. I look like a damn jellyfish, but I knew I was smart because I grabbed the wires because it arcs the taser off when you grab the wires. And I had like wires all in my chest, but what I didn't put in account for is I didn't have enough hands and I had a back. And so they started just shooting me in the back. And it was the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. But then I felt in my whole being, hey man, it's supposed to happen. This needs to happen because you needed your ass beat a long time coming now, son. You needed it in the most extreme way possible. I was like, all right. If this is it, then this is it, son. And then I wasn't fighting the cops. I just wasn't making it easy on them either. Okay, so one cop, he comes up. There was some built dudes too. One dude comes up behind me and he picks me up from behind and he slams, like whips my head into the asphalt, and my jaw caught my fall. He was trying to knock me out. It just didn't take. It didn't at all because I knew to bite down as hard as I could. And when I was going up and coming down, it's like it was all in slow motion. It was like, but it hurt, boy. It hurt. That hurt, man. And then I get up from that and there's all like, what? And so they was like, do it again. And so he picks me up again. Wow. And it didn't knock me out. And I just jumped up. And I said, I remember what I said. I said, I'm a hardcore MFer. Why do you think I could take all this pain and I'm still standing in this MFer?
Yeah.
And they was like, Jesus Christ. And that paramedic, I'm looking at the paramedic and I'm just amped up, but I'm calmed down because I got the shit beat out of me. It's the worst pain I've ever felt in my entire life, but I also needed it. And I was fine. I got to work some things out. The cops got to work things out. Everything was fine. The paramedics looked at me and he was a real chill guy. He was just leaning up next to the ambulance. He's like, hey man, you know, help us out and get on this cot. And I was like, well, yeah. I turned back to the cops. I said, that's all you had to do in the first place is talk to me. And so I get on the cot. I'm trying to sit down on it. He's like, no, buddy, we got to do you face down. I was like, I understand. Everything's fine. Everything's cool. I'm good. Just please, whoever tased me in the dick, just please take this out because it hurts. Because I did. It was in there. It was bad. And man, no, I was like, looking like a porcupine. I got in a fight with a porcupine. I had holes all in me. And I realized they didn't even take me to jail. They took me to the hospital. It would have been a lot cheaper if they would have took me to jail though. Because Blue Cross Blue Shield only covers like a quarter of a psychotic break. Yeah. You know, Blue Cross Blue Shield sucks, man. Sucks. Horrible. And so they get me to the hospital. And the cops think that I'm doing cocaine. I was like, look, every time I've done cocaine, I've been quiet. I ain't said nothing to nobody. And I don't like cocaine. I don't like amphetamines. This was it. So they drew my blood and to do a drug test. And they tested for mushrooms and didn't even show up in there. Just the only thing showed up was marijuana. And
that's wild.
That is wild. And I gave them I was coherent enough to give them my damn social, but they kept on like messing with me in there. I can't explain it. It was weird. I had a weird experience the whole time. And so they ended up, they was like, all right, look, you ready to go sleep? I was like, please. And they said, all right. So they gave me what they call a cocktail. It was Benadryl, Geodon, and something else. I don't know, but Geodon will knock you out, son. And so they shot it up in my ass and I went to sleep. So I woke up the next morning, as a beautiful morning. I had
bright as
no, absolutely. So I had all these stickers on me, these EKG patches everywhere, and I ain't got no shirt. and I just got my cargo shorts, and I'm a little sore. I'm a little sore, and the nurse, she apparently was tired of my shit. She's like, "Look, here's your paper. You need to leave." I was like, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry for everything. I swear I am. I didn't mean to cause such a ruckus in your hospital." And she said, "Look, there's a phone over there if you need to use it." I was like, "You know what? I'll just leave. Thank you for everything." And so I walked out, and this was at Erlanger. I walked out, and when I looked at the sunrise coming from those mountains over there in Chattanooga, I was like, "That's the prettiest sunrise I've ever seen." Because it was like, and that right there changed my mind. It reset me to where I didn't even have a craving for pills anymore. Like, it was gone. My craving for pills and like hard drugs or anything like that was gone. That experience alone. And then I was like, I can't tell anybody that this was a good experience, because everybody's like, "Tyler, this was clearly a bad experience." I was like, "I know, but you wasn't me." I was like, I didn't hurt nobody, but they didn't know that. And I'm scared. I'm sorry. I am sorry to the city of Chattanooga. If I didn't even destroy any property or anything like that. So then a month now,
like, you were chasing a dude around town though. That was your
I
We
was.
won't say no names.
No, I don't want to say. Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah, that's.
Now I do gotta say that same guy fought a guy on those substances.
Oh yeah.
In a kickboxing match. So that's terrifying.
Oh yeah.
Just so they can see what you were kind of dealing with. People are insane. Go ahead, man.
So anyways, so I get out, and the only phone number that I know, now this is ironic, the only phone number that I know by heart, because I ain't got nothing in my pockets. And I don't know how that happened. Like, nothing, not even phone or nothing. I knew Caleb's number. And I went to this gas station. In Chattanooga, and the lady, I go in, I ain't got no shirt on. I still got these patches, because you know what? It hurts when you got chest hair and you pull off these patches. So I was a puss when it came to pulling off.
And they didn't shave you.
No, they didn't shave me at all. They didn't shave me. And so I go in there, and I was like, "Ma'am, look, can I borrow your phone?" And she's like, "Yeah, just go use it around where nobody can see you." I was like, "Okay." Okay. So I called Caleb. I was like, "Caleb, I'm over here at this gas station. Can you please come get me?" He was like, "What the hell happened?" I was like, "Well, I'll tell you about it all in due time. Yeah, I'll tell you in due time." So we had a good car ride back. And then I wasn't right at all after that, because I was out of reality. I think it was the head trauma that I sustained, because man, I really wasn't right for a while, and I needed help. And and so that's when I got help at the mental hospital after all that shit happened. And then now I'm doing great. I love where I'm at in life. I doing comedy. I think the best comedy for me is my experiences. I had to realize that, hey man, you're a joke. You're a joke, dog. Yeah, stop taking yourself so seriously, and learn to let go, learn to let it be, man. And I am trying to let things be, but some things just keep coming back, and I think it's a way for us to face it, because I keep praying to God. I'm like, "God, please just guide me. What do you want me to do, man? Please guide me, man." And I was like, "Do you want me to talk out against stuff? What do you want me to do?" And then shit like this happens. I'm like, "Yep." He has a way of pushing you where you need to be.
So what brought about speaking out? So what brought about your firing? You
at Rainsville?
Yeah, you told me the story,
yeah.
And then one of these gentlemen passed away.
Yeah, passed away.
Yeah, tell us that.
All right, so I was in law enforcement for about 10 years. That was a bad career move for me. I've always should have been blue collar. That's me to a T. Now I had ups and downs in there, and at the end of my career in Rainsville, I got fat.
Got to meet the mayor or something? What was
what
it?
mayor?
The governor?
Oh no, I met the governor.
Yeah,
I met the governor when I was at Cherokee County, and I even got an autographed picture of me and Robert Bentley standing by my cop car. And at the time, we were both cheating on our wives. Yeah. Yeah. Robert Bentley. You remember Robert Bentley?
I know the name.
Yeah.
I'm awful at names, but I know the name for sure.
Yeah. Anyways, but I do got a signed autograph from Robert Bentley, and I bet that's going to be worth some money one day.
Cool. That's
Yeah.
cool.
So anyway, he gave me a coin.
Challenge coin.
It was a challenge coin.
I had one officer give me a challenge coin, Gary.
Oh yeah, Gary who? Hill? No, Gary. The DA.
I think so.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Gary, I can't remember his name for nothing. He's got a daughter that sings, but he gave me a challenge coin. He used to train with us.
Oh yeah, man. If it's the same Gary, I'm Gary Williams.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, he's a good man.
Had a car wreck.
Yeah, he's a good. He's a good guy.
Yep.
Anyways, so at this point in my life, I have pretty much gave up. I'm only in law enforcement because I don't know how to do anything else.
How fat were you at the end?
Almost 300 pounds, Sam.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I know. Oh man, it's disgusting.
Why are there so many fat cops here?
Well, because you get discounts from all these fast food restaurants, and then you forget to walk, and you're just watching Netflix in your car, like on the city's account, which was great. I watched a lot of good movies in my car, man. Anyways, I was sleeping all the time too. All the time. I just hated. Anyways, so I was really good at arresting people for drugs because apparently an addict knows an addict, and also it was very easy to do, especially when you got all these tools that you're given to arrest people for drugs, like all these, stops that you can make for probable cause. I used not having a tag light a lot. Not having a tag light. That was a lot. I mean, a lot of people I've arrested for that. And man, some people I won't ever be sorry for because you need to go to jail. But some people I am, But anyways, me and Casey was working together. I was on the same shift. He was my supervisor.
Casey Jones.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he, we just started talking. Now he's a pretty cool guy. I liked him and everything like that. But we started talking about the prescriptions that we had. Like I told him, I was like, hey, I'm taking Paxil and Valium. I got like an unlimited supply of Valium, the yellow 10 milligram Valiums. And I would take the shit out of them because I had a prescription that was legal. And he was telling me what he took. And one of them was Oxycontin. And I said, you got a prescription for Oxycontin? He said, yeah. I was like, nice. And he was like, yeah, man, they're 15. I was like, what, 15 milligram? He was like, that, and they're $15 a piece. I was like, oh, okay. He's like, you want a couple? I was like, yeah, I'll take a couple. So I started buying pills from him for a couple of weeks, rocked on with that. And then he had a buddy. They came from Scottsboro. He had a buddy that nobody really liked at all. Like this guy, just dirty dude.
Who was it?
Chris Kirby. He came from Scottsboro. So I'm sitting in the break room and I'm eating like I always did. What?
Now is Chris Kirby still a cop?
No.
All right, go ahead.
I don't think so. Not at all. So I am eating in the break room. Chris comes and drops off a paper napkin. And on it, it said, do you like fentanyl? I was like, what? And then I already knew that Casey told him what we had going on. I was like, what? He said, yeah, man. Then he pulls out a strip, a fentanyl strip. He can get pharmaceutical fentanyl, not that press stuff, not that homemade fentanyl. And he said, yeah, man, I've been chewing on this strip all day. I was like, well, how much is it? And he said, it's $1 a milligram. So $25 for 25 milligram strips or $50 for a 50 milligram strip. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Well, when he was saying all this, what flashed in my head was all these overdose deaths that I've seen, that I've worked, families crushed by this drug, and just horrible things, and friends and family that's died of fentanyl. I was like, yeah, man. Yeah, I'll take some fentanyl. I was like, but I ain't got no cash on me. So just, I'll get back to you. Damn, I need some more water.
Actually, hang on. So we'll take a tiny break. I gotta hit the restroom anyway. Brand, hang on 1 second.
Mm. 12:05. 12:05. I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. I did.
Gotta get me a longer timer on there when we go to a break.
Yeah.
Last of the finest.
Okay. So, anyways, at the time, Kevin Smith is the police chief. I go to Kevin and I was like, hey, man, look. Now, I didn't tell Kevin that I was buying pills already from Casey at all. No, I didn't. I left that part out. I was like, hey, man, Chris Kirby came up and offered me fentanyl. I was like, you know.
Now, where's he at now, Kevin Smith?
He's at Scottsboro.
Kevin Smith.
Yeah,
okay.
He's a sergeant at Scottsboro.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you told him, hey, I bought fentanyl from.
No, I didn't buy fentanyl.
You told him.
Yeah. Because
you said so and so. Who is it?
Chris Kirby.
You said, hey, Kevin Smith, Chris Kirby offered me fentanyl.
Yeah.
All right, go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so Kevin was like, really? I was like, yeah, man. Yeah, like he wrote it on a brown napkin and everything. And he was like, you got the napkin? I was like, well, hell no, he got the napkin. And he was like, oh, shit. I was like, look, I can buy from him and I can also buy from Casey. He was like, all right. Look, let's go talk to the task force and get something going. I was like, all right, let's go. We go down to the task force. And it was Gary Hill that was the commander this time. And we tell him what's going on and all that. And they give me the wire. It's the only time that I'll ever do this. And this is why I don't trust the police. This story right here. So I go get the wire and everything. And I was like, all right, look, I'll start gathering some evidence and all that. And I'll turn it in. I was like, all right. So I did. And I started getting them to talk and everything. And then I turned it in. And the task force guys is listening to it. And one of them was my buddy. We ain't buddies no more. But he was like, damn, Tyler, they're all saying that you're a natural at it. I was like, yeah, man, I've had experience in buying drugs. You know what I mean? And
now who said that?
I ain't going to say his name.
I got you.
I ain't going to say his name.
I got you.
But very much an active member around here.
Okay.
So there were several people that knew this was going on.
Yeah.
So one day things started getting weird with me and Casey. We was working on the same shift, and Casey ended. I've never seen him out like this. Like he looked angry at me and just popping off, and where I wanted to beat the shit out of him. I wanted to beat his ass. and I was like, dude, we can go after work. I don't care. It got to that point, and then I was like, Kevin told him. Kevin let him in. They know now. And so that's when I started. I was like, I need to start recording everybody, all these conversations. I need to start recording them. I don't trust nobody now. And it got a weird time for me.
Oh yeah.
Weird, dude. And then next thing I know, I get called in the chief's office, and it was Todd Bowen and Eric Tidmore and Kevin Smith. Well, Todd comes up behind me and grabs my gun, disarms me. And then, saying, Tyler, we got to fire you and everything. I was like, for what? It was a bullshit reason. Well, what it was I did a report for a lady. And it was a documentation. And they said, you don't need to do that report or whatever. It's filing a false report. I was like, what? I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do. If somebody wants to report, I'm going to take a report and you can do whatever you want to with it, So that's firing me. And I was like, damn, they're covering this shit up. But before that, okay. Yeah. So they fired me.
He came behind you and
Yeah. Now Todd is a sweet Christian boy, but he's also a lazy pussy. Lazy pussy. Todd Bowen is oh, my bad. I keep forgetting that we're on the grapevine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's extremely lazy, but he's a sweet Christian boy.
But he's weak.
Yeah, bad. All right. And I don't care. I don't care.
I don't even know Todd.
Yeah, well, people who does know him, right?
He's lazy and weak.
Yeah. So, anyways, they fire me. I get a lawyer, and then I tell my lawyer, I was like, "Hey, man, they're trying to cover this up," and I give him all the personal evidence that I had. He's like, "Yeah, it sounds like Kevin," and it was a lawyer in Rainsville. Well, we had to do a council meeting, and the council, it was Roger Lingerfelt is the mayor, Brandon Freeman, Derek Rawson, Marshall Stiefel, Ricky Byram, and B. John Tahiri was all on the council. Yeah. And so Kevin was trying to bring up something that was just ridiculous. And my lawyer was like, "Hey, did y'all know this investigation was going on? And that these officers are still here," and gave all the proof that I had. I had so much overwhelming proof on Kirby that they had to fire him that night. And they said, "No, we had no idea." Now, in their defense, no, they actually did look surprised. I was like, "No, we really didn't know this was going on. We didn't."
You talking about the board members?
Yeah, well, okay. The council.
Okay,
the council and the mayor. They're like, "We didn't have a clue." I was like, well, yeah, this is going on. So I had so much proof on Kirby that they fired him that night. Okay. That night. They overturned my firing. And I see Kevin, he's crying his eyes out. He's crying because I don't know why. And then we go. Yeah, no. He's crying like a big baby. Yeah. Good day, sir. No, I ended up ultimately losing everything. Yeah.
But at least you didn't cry in front of all of them.
Yeah. So anyways, I still my lawyer was like, "Look, man, you need to get out." I was like, "Yeah, clearly." I was like, "Damn," but I didn't know how to do anything else. Yeah. And so, but I knew to, but before that is when I started recording. Before they fired me, because they was trying to fire me on talking about the investigation. Yeah, okay. Nick Knops, I worked with him. They moved me on his shift. Now he's a state trooper now. He came to my grandmother's funeral that little because he's supporting my granddad or whatever like that. But if my grandma knew what he was a part of, she, get him out of here. Yeah. Get this dude out of here. You know, I made him shake my hand at the funeral. And so he calls me in and we was cool. We was cool for a while, but I didn't trust him. And him and Del Mullins comes in like, "Hey man, come here. I want to talk to you." I was like, "All right, well, let me go take a piss real quick and I'll be right back." So I've already downloaded a recorder on my phone and I press record. I was like, "What do you want to talk about?" He's like, "Well, let's talk about this investigation. How's that going with the Casey thing and everything like that?" I was like, "Oh, I don't know, man. Things are getting weird, dude. Like really, really weird and all that." And so I got this all recorded. So the next day they call me in and Nick's there at the Chiefs and I'm just smiling. I'm smiling because I have my phone with me and it's Kevin and Tidmore and Todd. And Kevin's like, "Hey man, I got to fire you for talking about this investigation." I was like, "Oh, you mean when Nick brings it up first?" Their eyes got big and their mouths dropped, son. And Nick just looked down. I was like, yeah, I got it recorded. Do you want to listen to it? And I was like, no, we're good. You can go. I was like, okay. And I left. I'm still working. I should have gotten out. I should have been out for a long time. And then they tried to fire me again. I ended up overturning that. And then they put me on night shift. I get caught sleeping because it's night shift and I ain't used to it. And by Alfred Rigstad, he tells on me. And they're like, "Tyler, here you go. You fired." I was like, "All right."
That was a good time.
Yeah, that was. And then but Kirby's already gone. Casey's still there. Okay. I lost my mind after that because I can't believe that they just did that to me. Like they just did that to me. And you know, I'm glad everything happened the way it did though. 6 months later, Casey gets arrested for stealing pills on a call out of a house. He steals pills. Now you can look this up. And then maybe a year and a half later, he's no longer here. Yeah.
Of overdose?
Overdose. Yeah.
Did they fire him after he stole the pills? Yeah, you said.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
And they charged him with theft of property second. And I actually seen him at the Vintage. He was working at the Vintage, and it wasn't weird. It was like we both know what happened. We both like it was like that. And he was giving me a beer and stuff. I was like, "How you been, Casey?" He was like, "Man, I'm doing good. Been working in the kitchen, all that." And he was like, "How you been, Tyler?" I was like, "No, I mean, I got $1 million. I got this and that. You know, I got everything figured out, type shit." And then the last thing I said, I was like, "Man, I hope everything works out for you." That's what I said.
And then he died.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yep.
Man.
Yep.
Wild. And you told him about it.
Yeah. Well, and then I reached out to the Southern Torch and told them what all was happening, what all was going on and stuff. Nothing, son. I thought this was a pretty big story.
It is.
And I thought it was, but I guess I was wrong.
I think they're pretty indoctrinated on how they do things, and they're only going to put out absolutely 100% positive stuff on any politician or police officer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, in the area. I don't think they're ever going to, like, if anything even halfway weird's going on, they're not going to post that.
Well, if you 100% support an organization without questioning anything, what do you think? What is that?
That's cult.
That's cult-like mentality.
And then if you're the sheriff's department, or now, granted, I don't really have much issue with anybody. I try not to. Everybody wants to act like I hate the police and stuff, but I reach out pretty regularly to the sheriff's department to like ask questions. I don't get anything back. The only people and now Fort Payne's more helpful to me than they have been, but again, I don't.
Well, there's a lot of good people in Fort Payne. Okay,
yeah,
there is a lot of good people in Fort Payne, but there's some shitty ones, obviously.
There's a lot of crappy ones.
Yeah.
Now, but almost everyone I call is almost always helpful.
Yeah.
The sheriff's office is never helpful, but also the man that helped run Nick Weldon's sheriff campaign works for the Southern Torch, and he used to work under Nick. So of course they're going to give all the quotes and answer the Southern Torch and hide Nick Jones's arrest and stuff when things like that happen, because they're buddies and that's how things work. I can't hate on that, it's work. But also, if you're an elected official and your buddy owns the local newspaper and y'all are using that so you look like the greatest thing of all time, then I think that's a real problem for me. Doesn't seem real. Kind of does seem like a cult, I actually got unfriended by a cop the other day.
What happened?
There was this guy. Now, we used to go to school together, and I don't hate this guy.
Yeah.
Again, he's been very polite to me. He took my brother to jail, let my brother drop his car off first, yada, yada, yada. There's no weird thing going on. And so he puts on Facebook, and he's like lifting weights, but like you can tell he's not in shape, but he's at least picking the weights up and setting them down. So he's kind of strong maybe, but he's just not strong for a long time. But he put on there, and like he had these crazy eyes, man, looking like a demon. Like, and I was like, he said, "Keep doubting me, and we'll see what happens when I fall, because I won't fall. Y'all are my motivators, haters," and such crazy stuff. So I commented on there. I said, "Excuse me, officer, but who do you think is doubting you? Who?" Because everyone in this area is like, they hero worship the cops for the most part. They're the best.
They do no wrong.
They don't mess up. Thank you so much. And dude, thank you to the good cops.
Sure. Absolutely.
And thank him that day for being cool and let my brother
absolutely
drop his car off. But I was more just kind of like, and I had asked him to come on the podcast before, and he said no. They never going to come on and answer any of these questions, because some of them's hard questions. And so I said, "Who do you think's doubting you, officer?" He deleted the post, unfriended me, got removed as far from that situation as possible. Now he hangs out on this road and pulls people over all the time, regular harassment, get the quota numbers up and stuff. And he pulls them over a lot, man. He gets a lot of them. And it wasn't like that before. You used to drive through here and be kind of cool, and he's getting 4 or 5 people about every day. He's making them some money, so they'll keep him around. But like, he just kind of seems off when he talks sometimes. He kind of seems like he's still he seems like he's on a football team still. And it's like, dude, we're 30.
He probably has Punisher stickers.
I think he probably has Punisher stickers.
I got in that like, Punisher.
Yeah, why?
Yeah. It's easy to get indoctrinated.
Now,
it really is easy.
And again, I don't hate that guy. I have no ill will for him. Just like the fact that I ask you a very slightly offhand question and you can't handle that, dude, what's going to happen if something crazy happens? Like, how are you going to be able to sit through like a questioning in court? Like, what are we really talking about here? And you're just racking up tickets. Like, I just can't imagine being a cop and my whole job, me being proud of giving a ton of people tickets right here at the holidays. Like, dude, you have someone speeding or driving recklessly or yada, yada, yada. That's one thing. But, dude, you're just pumping out numbers right here at the holidays when everybody's kind of probably struggling anyway, especially the people that you're aiming for.
Yep.
Man, I don't understand. And like people like remember that politician, he said, next time you're in trouble, call a crackhead. No, it ain't like that. It ain't like I hate cops. We're not talking about the good cops that are doing a good job.
And there's plenty.
Yeah, and taking care of and serving the community. We're talking about the people that are abusing
their power. Yeah.
And their power.
The hardest job to me in law enforcement that I could never do is dispatching. And if you've ever sat in a damn dispatching room or a 911 center or anything like that, man, it's crazy, dude. It's chaos. And it's usually ladies that's doing it, but they're so calm. And then they have to put up with a bunch of what?
Go ahead. I'm going to say something after you.
No, they have to put up with all kinds of craziness. And then like you got officers that don't know how to talk on the radio, that wants to hear themselves talk. And then, but
now
I don't know how they could do it.
Now, do I sound good in your headphones? I sound cool. Okay. I sound canny in this piece of crap. But so I took the kids to the Albertville movie theater the other day. I don't know the name of that place, but it is a super nice movie theater. It's the nicest movie theater I've ever been in. That's important, to say, because they let us have a fun time with the kids. It's affordable, it's fun, it's awesome. The refills are free. Something cinema in Albertville. Coolest theater I've ever been to. Anyway, so I'm at the movie theater. I'm hanging out with my wife and kids. We're watching the movie, just family time. Now, I'm a man, right? I see a pretty woman, I'm going to look. Not in a rude sense. Like, oh, okay, that's a pretty lady, right? But also, you're going to see men sometimes and be like, oh, that's a handsome guy, right? He better stay away from my wife, right? We're just acknowledging people, right? Okay, that's a pretty lady. Oh, that's a handsome cat. That's a nice car. I look at that like that. You see what I'm saying? Like, oh, good for you, So I'm at the movie theater. And we're coming out of the movie with my wife and kids. And there's this cop there, and he's been there the whole time. And he's got a bald head, and he's got 50 tattoos. No problem with tattoos, man. But just so people know who he is. Super bald guy. He's wearing he's working the movie theater, and he's wearing his bulletproof vest, and he's got his guns and his badge. And I'm like, dude, you're at a movie theater. What are we doing here? And we're walking out with my wife and them, and I had done seen him and kind of be like, oh, you're a tool. You're not a super cool guy. I'd done got that read. So we're walking out of the movie to try to get back to to our car and go home. And when I come out, my wife's behind me. I've got one or two kids with me. My wife had Kira and another one. Now Kira's 11. Maybe even 10. I'm not sure. I'm not a good dad in that sense. But she's 10 or 11. She's starting to get prettier as she gets older and stuff. She's starting to dress different and stuff. But she's still very clearly a 10 or 11-year-old child, right? So she's 11. She's 11. So we come out of the movie, and now I look at the guy to see what he's doing. Not even really to see what he's doing, just looking in that direction. And I get to looking at him, and as I look at him, I realize that he's looking back and down, but very, very heavily down. Not like a glance. He's chomping at the bit in the movie theater. So I'm in my head, I go, well, he's either staring at my wife's, butt, or he's checking out an body, or he's checking out an 11-year-old girl, because it's Vicky and Kira together. And either way, not a cool way to be as a cop. So I waited a minute, and I started to be like, well, is this a normal way for you to act? I didn't say anything because I didn't want to get tased or shot in the movie theater. And I didn't say anything to him. And I thought, maybe you're just being crazy. I'd had 2 very small glasses of wine during the movie, okay? I said, maybe you're just being crazy. Let's go benefit of the doubt, and let's just kind of keep an eye on him for a second and see what he's doing. Well, I watch him. He don't know I'm watching him, but I'm a people watcher. So I'm watching him as this other couple goes by, guy and a wife, man and girlfriend, whatever. Clearly young, though, again. And sure enough, as they go by, them eyes go whoom, straight down to that butt. I don't mean a glance. I don't mean a little, okay, cool. I don't mean nothing like that. I mean this guy's with his wife, right? So I know he was staring at either my wife or my kid, right? And the reason I don't think that he was staring at my wife is because my wife was dressed as a homeless person. She had on a sweatshirt that covered everything. There was nothing about my wife that you could see anything to check out. Now, my daughter, she wasn't wearing anything that should be checked out. The only thing that was happening is her belly button might have showed a hair, right? But still, again, she's getting prettier and older. And still, though, that's creepy, bro. Why are you checking out a kid? He might have been checking out my wife in the sweatpants and stuff. But you're a cop on duty. Why would you do that right in front of me and with not so much as like a pair of glasses on your head, right? So I called their police station, and I was like, hey, man, I want to file a complaint. Immediately, the lady working was angry. Rude, nasty, just horrible, terrible attitude that I would even say anything. Just bothered that I called. And again, this is Albertville. And so I went off on her a little bit, and I talked to her. I was like, what are we even really doing? I said, I'd have said something to him myself, but, y'all have got me shot or tased in a movie theater because he wouldn't know how to handle that. And then we kept getting into it. Finally, we got done talking, and the chief or captain called. Now, granted, he did handle it a lot better than anyone else did. But the fact that he was just doing that in a public place and not just doing it to my wife or kid, right? He was doing it to everybody. Any girl that would walk by, he was just foaming at the mouth. That or he was looking at their husband. You know what I mean? Creepy way to be, man.
It is creepy.
And you can't hold him accountable. What would have happened if I'd have said something to him? Hey, man, is that normal for you? You just stare at people's wives and kids in public?
Keep it moving.
Yeah.
Keep it moving.
Yeah. Oh, that or he'd have tased me in the movie theater.
We got one questioning authority.
I need backup. He's about my size, not quite as big, but man, I need back. He's got 6 people with him. Yeah, crazy. But just the fact that the lady handled it so poorly, and I even told the chief, I said, look, man, y'all can laugh at me, make fun of me all y'all want to when we hang up, but I appreciate you being professional when you called. I appreciate you letting me talk.
Because they definitely going to make fun of you.
Yeah. He said, well, I ain't going to do that.
Oh, bullshit. Oh, bullshit. We know better.
Why are they like that? What's the deal?
Man, well, it's the us versus them mentality.
Don't they work for us?
Well, yeah, but they also pay their own taxes too. Like when I've had this when I was a cop, like, I pay your salary. I was like, I do too. I pay taxes too.
Whitmire said that the other day.
Yeah.
Whitmire's another one, man. I used to be real good buddies with Whitmire. We don't talk no more. There's plenty of cops I used to be buddies with that now that I'm saying some stuff, we're not cool. But now there's also some fairly high-ranking people that I'm still friends with.
Absolutely. Okay, so
absolutely.
absolutely. So we do actually have support of those people. Now, I had somebody like, Tyler, I support you, but not publicly, and I support you from a distance. I love you. I hope the best for you, but I was like, hey, man, you ain't gotta keep saying it. I get that.
You know what that is?
What?
That's a cult.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, also, they got Blue Cross Blue Shield, they got a retirement, they got this and that. They got a life set up, their life. Now this is what they want to do with their life. Now the good ones know that they are imperfect human beings, and they know that everybody makes mistakes. And they're there to really serve and protect their community because they really do feel like this is a calling for them. And when you do come in contact with one of these good officers, it's a memory. It's a memory that will last forever. And it's a blessing. It's an absolute blessing when you come in contact with them. Now, when you come in contact with a bad one, it lasts forever too, baby. But I've been in good and bad memories for people.
Do you know Eric Watkins from Otter?
No, not really.
Okay, now I might be wrong on the name, but I'm pretty positive I'm not. Now, Eric Watkins used to be a cop at Otter, and he would absolutely. Now, granted, my stepdad is at the time a crackhead. Okay, and I say crackhead in the sense that he was smoking a lot of crack. Okay,
to his head.
Yeah,
taking it to his head.
I don't mean a derogatory term. I mean my stepdad smoked a lot of crack at the time.
Yeah.
Now, my stepdad at the time also has the reputation of being. A snitch, right? That's the reputation that he has. Being a weak person. Now, and I don't hate my stepdad. I forgive my stepdad for everything, but there was a time or 2 or 3 where he put a gun in my face because he thought I was going to beat him up, and I was just like, just go lay down, man. And it was a wild time. But now I know Eric Watkins was really gung ho to get him, and he'd go out and get him, and get after him, and get him to the point that they were like, hey, this is harassment, man. What are you doing? What's really going on? This harassment. Well, it turns out that Eric Watkins, I'm not going to say 100% sure. His name was Eric, 99% sure it's Watkins. He was a cop at Otter. He was also smoking crack, doing drugs and stuff. doing drugs. Hang on, let me look for sure. Let me look for sure.
Did he get arrested?
Let me look for sure.
Didn't know that.
Now, here's what I was told the other day. Now, I don't know if I don't want to lie. I don't want to lie. Yeah, I don't want to lie. Here you go. This guy.
I don't know
It's
him.
Eric Watkins, but he was a cop at Ider. Now, I don't want to lie. So, what we're going to do is we're going to hop on to Cobb County Sheriff's Office. And someone told me the other day that he is in jail. And he's having to, like, be watched to the point of, like, hey, you're a danger to...
Like suicidal?
No, a danger to himself and others.
Oh.
Like a lot. Hang on. Someone told me he's up there. Now, I don't know if that's true. I accept. I don't know if that's true, but we're going to find out right now if he's up there. This app is horrible. Hang on. Home. You go to inmate roster, right? I ain't never even on here is the thing. View current. Load more. But now they said that they knew he was up there and out here going around it. Now, granted, he might be just cleaned up forever. I don't know. I'm not a guy, but I do know for sure that he was out there in the world being a wild animal and still arresting people for the same thing. And again, always polite to me. Always polite to me.
So how do you know he's on drugs?
Because that's it.
That was it.
Yeah, that's the word, man.
That's more common than what you think.
No, dude, there's so many.
I mean, it's more common than what you think.
What about what's his name? What about who's got the dope? Who's got the dope?
I don't know, but yeah, they all got it. I mean, honestly, it's kind of like Easter egg hunting.
Good old Carl White.
Yeah.
Man, he.
They get hard up for that, man. No, they get hard up for it. In fact, they're dope fiends.
Yep.
They're dope fiends.
That's the guy that takes a lot of pride in
arresting drug addicts.
Or just,
It's easy to manipulate a drug addict to do what you want them to do. Absolutely easy to do that. All you got to do is just you find a car. Then Title 32 gives you a big old thick book like a Bible of traffic laws that you can pick which one you want for probable cause. Pull over this guy that you suspect of having drugs. You pull him over, and you see that, hey, this is a drug addict. What you do is just like, hey man, where you going? What you doing? How you doing? Oh, I'm doing good. I pulled you over for such and such or whatever.
hang on a second.
What?
I'm gonna call sheriff's office because legally we can.
Yeah.
DeKalb County Detention Center.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great. Hey, can you tell me if you have an inmate?
Sure, hang on just a second.
Thank you.
Hey, what's the last name?
Watkins, Watkins.
Name?
Eric.
Eric.
Yeah, Eric, ERIC, I believe.
We're not showing to have anybody by that name.
That's awesome. All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
See. So now, see, that's a good thing about him having that. But someone told me the other day they had him up there and they was working around with him and stuff. Now, I don't know. But if they're not showing him, good. But that's the beauty of...
When was he a cop? Like, from when
long
to
time
when?
ago. As far as I know, he moved and stuff. Now, he was going through it, and he might have got cleaned up, and I hope he did. I hope he because he never said a rude word to me. He never said anything out of pocket to me. Never said... He was just always polite to me. But now my stepdad, he was out to get me.
Mhm.
He was harassing him left and right, doing everything he could. But now on Carl, man, I see Carl harassing people all the time. Anytime he's ever pulled somebody over, it's always a weird vibe. It's never polite.
Like at all.
No. Now me and Carl's all right when we see each other, but now if he sees all this, he'll like
Yeah, I'd be like, hey man. Hey man.
He'll start pulling me over.
Yeah.
But now, like, also, it's like you don't have to take so much pride in ruining a person's life.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Yeah.
I just don't think that's a great way.
No,
to
it's
be.
not.
I don't think that's a cool way to act, and I don't think that's a good way to do the job. That like if you think God has called you to do the job, I don't think that's probably the way to do it.
No, that ain't it.
So like with we're getting wrapped up anyway, but so like if you ever want to know who's in jail, just call the sheriff's office.
Well, and they got that inmate roster too.
Nah, but it's horrible, and they
Yeah.
might not put somebody
Yeah.
on there.
Oh, they put me on there. By
Oh,
God.
yeah,
Yeah.
I used to be on there
Yeah.
too. But like if you didn't know who's in, just call. And then but like Eric, back in the day he was out there. He was being wild and stuff. And I think he actually moved off. I hope he moved off. But someone told me they seen him up here the other day, and I've got a friend that's in jail. I can't remember his name. I just see him and we're buddies. I remember Eric Watkins' name because he arrested my dad 40 times, my stepdad 40 times. And but apparently he's like, doing good, getting right and stuff. But someone said Eric Watkins is up there. Not again, I don't know. But doesn't sound like he is. But what do you hope comes from all of your dealings here recently? What do you hope changes? Is there any change that can happen? Are you hoping to
Well,
sue
there's absolutely
somebody?
there's absolutely changes that can happen because grand jury indictments, you're getting rearrested for something that you've already been arrested for. That makes no sense to me. That makes zero sense to me. And you have to bond out on the indictment for the exact same thing that you've already taken care of. Like people who's been arrested for felony drugs, they have to their case goes to grand jury even after they've been arrested for drugs and on color code and even taking care of all that. Well, if somebody when grand jury comes up, their case comes before grand jury and the officer will present it to the grand jury. And if they true bill it, then you have to be picked up on something that you've already been picked up on. They're saying that they have a backlog. I believe that they have a backlog, but I think there's something very suspicious going on with this. It's just the timing is really weird. Very weird.
Yeah, like a month after you.
Yeah, very weird. Now, I mean, if it was a complete misunderstanding and all that stuff, it still cost my family some money, and I'm blessed with the family that I have. I just don't think it needs to happen anymore.
Yeah, I think there should be a better eyeball on it. Do you think you're going to see some legal action?
I would like to talk to a First Amendment attorney to see what all we can dig up on it. Or an attorney. We should get a attorney here to a podcast, see if they want.
Love to have an attorney.
Yeah, and just ask the in and outs of the system, what you can and can't do.
That'd be awesome.
Asking it on here.
Well, man, we got an hour and a half today.
There you
go. If you ever want to call in, if you ever want to have anyone on, anything like that, let us know. Tyler, I appreciate the time.
Oh, yeah, man. I appreciate y'all listening. Y'all have a great night.
Heck
or day.
What are we going to run?
When I